Hi guys, welcome back. All right, so let's go ahead and jump on into a singles storyline, shall we? All right, we have got a Page of Cups upright and a King of Cups sideways. So we are beginning this storyline with some pretty strong energy of someone being a little bit, I'll say confused, not wanting to misjudge somebody fully and completely, but it feels like, although these characters are single, it feels like two people have met each other. And there's this vibe of like, I just don't know. I'm getting a funky vibe here. Is this somebody that I could really picture being generous? Is this King of Cups? We could have a divine feminine who's met a masculine. Please remember, I don't read for gender, so we can flip this, or they could be same sex. But for what we see on the cards, we're going to say that we have a feminine who's really wondering if the masculine she's met is sincere. Okay, so this is already a situation where, because he has his heart on the outside of his shirt, I'm going to say this is definitely a potential love match where it's like two people have already gone out on a date and she's really wondering, I don't know, something smells off about him, something about his persona, his behavior. I just don't know that I think it's totally legit. Maybe he's a little too see Six of Pentacles in the reverse. I was going to say maybe he's a little bit too polished. He says all the right things. Sometimes it can be a turnoff when somebody says everything perfect. I know that sounds weird, but hey, I wear my heart on the outside. You'll always know where you stand with me. I'm such a lover. I'm this, I'm that. I'm really great. I'm really a wonderful partner. I like to give to a partner. This is how I like to treat a partner. When somebody goes on and on and on and on and on about who they want you to believe they are, I feel like she's saying this feels disingenuous. This feels like a rehearsed spiel. And in fact, saying all the right words sometimes can be like, I think that they're saying everything that they know they should be, but that doesn't mean that they are. Because it seems to be their primary focus is, wow, I love the way I sound when I say all these great things about who I'm telling somebody I am. You notice how he's drinking from his own cup. It feels like somebody who likes the sound of their voice, likes how they describe themselves, and that can feel very disingenuous. I know I could totally see the cringe factor in somebody explaining in great detail who they are, how they like to treat somebody, blah, blah, blah. It would feel like a sales pitch where it's like, you learned all the right words, but I don't know that I agree with what you're telling me you are. Okay. And indeed, this doesn't feel like a match. Maybe it could be a match, but it's not the right time. Maybe he needs to mellow out a little bit and because he's sideways. So she doesn't really know. And she's investigating just a little bit and trying to be fair and trying to be like, well, I mean, he's got some great qualities. And admittedly, I maybe the stuff that he says or the way he's treated me is nice, but why is there something that makes me wonder if he's my karmic instead of somebody that I should be really investing in? Maybe it's me who's too suspicious, maybe this, maybe that. All I can say is that this does not look like it's a relationship that right now is going to be very equitable or going to move forward. And I would say it's because somebody comes across as disingenuous. Honestly, at least in this storyline, maybe she's worried because she's known somebody who was super selfish, or maybe this is actually who that masculine is. Maybe he is super selfish and she got a big whiff of it and she decided to notice the red flags. It's either because like once bitten, twice shy, she had an ex that was like that. And she's like, I know the buzzwords. I know when somebody likes to hear themselves talk instead of wanting to get to know me or letting me get to know the real them. Instead, they have the polished version. You know how like we all have a resume that, says what we've done. And we usually try to describe on a resume, like how and overinflate a little bit or pomp some of our attributes or our skill set. I feel like that's what she just endured with him is you told me all about, you gave me your resume and it's a real polished resume, but it just doesn't come across as legitimate. I think she's learned to watch for the red flags. Now, could she be misjudging this character? Oh, it's possible. Absolutely. But We got the Eight of Swords and we got the Five of Wands. But let's boil it down and say this. At the end of the day, if she did misjudge this person, then maybe that would indicate she's still a little bit stuck on what happened between her and an ex. And so maybe she's not really ready to be in a relationship with this wonderful person who just wants to love her and give to her, if she's still seeing red flags everywhere where she shouldn't. Or we could say maybe she's spot on and she's like, I refuse to let myself get stuck with another karmic because I've already been there, done that, got the t-shirt, and I don't need another one. She's still mulling over. She's still thinking about it, going round and round in her head, analyzing, is it me? Did I really see red flags, or am I being like hyper alert? So it's great that she's pausing and she's really contemplating all of this. The Page of Wands, I still think she's going to move on and meet somebody else. I think she's this is like a test run. My impression is that we have a character who's only just started dating again after learning a very difficult lesson. I think she's new, emerging into the dating world, and she's just now like saying, wow, I'm going to apply the lessons that I've learned from my past to ask myself, while still being kind, while still trying to give someone a real chance and try to get to know them, I can't help but, be more discerning because of past experiences I had. But I do have to be mindful. It might be me freaking out, seeing red flags everywhere, but I probably won't know until I continue to move forward. I think at the end of the day, if it wasn't like she really was that attracted to this person, really wanted to go and keep dating them and figure out whether or not they were karmic, I think that the bottom line says maybe there wasn't enough attraction between her and this person. Not really. So whether she misjudged them and thought, I'm not sure if they're sincere or not, maybe that's a moot point, because it doesn't seem like there was enough to pull her back toward them, to continue trying to get to know them. So I'm going to say there maybe wasn't enough of an attractive force between those two. But meanwhile, if she's still assessing, am I freaking out? Am I seeing red flags everywhere? Whether it's fair for me to see that or not, I won't know until I go ahead and continue dating. Okay, so let me meet somebody else, maybe somebody that I'm very attracted to, and let me see, will I be discerning with them as well? Ten of Swords is sideways. There's a part of her that says, I almost want to run away from somebody that I'm like I think they're super sexy and we're making smoky eye contact. Maybe I don't even want to deal with it. And that could be her recognizing, okay, that's a bit of a trigger. Maybe I already sense that this very, some other second brand new person that I could start to date, or at least I can stare at from across the room and they stare back at me, and I can tell that there's that little, that attractive spark, that kind of come hither, bedroom eyes kind of look. Maybe it's like, yeah, don't even want to go down that road because I already know it's going to end bad. She might be realizing that she jumps to a lot of conclusions, but she might also be realizing that she's reading the room right. Where's the fine line between, am I right or am I projecting? Am I listening to my intuition and I'm very clear, or am I being too judgmental? Again, she's trying to figure that part out. We have the Four of Cups. We have the Knight of Cups. If anything, when it comes to this person, she may have a bit of a regret that she intentionally decides not to let anything go forward with this second individual. She may realize that she has a regret that she cuts them off a little too soon. Maybe it's one coffee date and she's like, oh my God, I'm so attracted to them, I'm not going to see them again. Because honestly, I worry too much that it could lead to heartbreak. I'll get more hooked on them and it could lead me to heartbreak. So she might not go out with them a second time. And she may regret that one, because it could be like, why did I do that? Why did I say no to what could have been a really great person that I was really attracted to? Why would I shoot myself in the foot and say, I like them so much, I'm definitely not going to go out with them again? The first person we can see she wasn't too into, right? They came across as a way better match and she didn't trust it, didn't believe it, but she also wasn't that interested. So she moved on. The second one, I think she's really attracted to, and that's why she avoids them. And now she has a regret, because that might be, if you're not attracted to somebody, that's one thing. But when you are, and then you choose to stay away because you make false assumptions, maybe somewhere in between these two extremes is where she's going to discover, let me ask myself, am I making good decisions? Am I making fair decisions? Or am I making fearful decisions? Okay. Universe, you want to weigh in on this? It's so like relatable, I think, for her to, like, when we watch what our character is going through, like, how do you know, especially after you've been through life experiences that have taught you, watch for the red flags, don't get into something that could go nowhere. Don't set yourself up for a heartbreak. Don't do this, don't do that. And pretty soon it's like, there's rules everywhere and everything's freaking me out. But at least the universe says, with the Judgment card in the reverse, the universe says, hey, she's determined not to make repetitious mistakes. She's really thinking about things. Maybe she's overthinking things, but we can see her real motive is, I don't want to go back through experiences I already had. Okay, maybe she just made the right decision on both counts. Maybe this is her listening to her intuition. Queen of Wands. Okay, the universe says to her, Queen of Wands, we know that you don't want to repeat old cycles, and good on you. That means you've really leveled up to Queen's status. Queen, King, doesn't matter what gender, but you really have learned that you want things that are more straightforward without feeling inauthentic, that you want to feel like you can say a confident yes, I want this. And I do not think that she could say a confident yes to either of these. Also, somebody who's just sitting there making bedroom eyes from across the way or doing some texting, that's not enough to get an Empress. A page's energy will not get a queen, or shouldn't be able to get a queen, because it's too minimal effort for what a queen is worth and what a queen would give. I mean, it's like saying, do we hand a 5-year-old who's a good little bike rider, do we hand them the keys to our vehicle? Of course not. They're not ready for that. They can't reach the pedals, but it would be really irresponsible for us to say, you know what, you're good on that little bicycle, and we took off your training wheels last month, so I think you can drive the Ferrari. No, we don't do that. Same thing. Why would she give a page the keys to her heart when she's, they're on a tricycle and she's, a sports car? And I'm not saying that she's more worthy than them. I'm just saying that the effort being put in seems pretty minimal for the way she would want an approach to be made. Now, everything has to start somewhere, so we'll keep that in mind. But this really says, at best, they could have been a knight. She still feels like, I regret that I didn't at least try to figure out what was going to go on with them. But I think her intuition said, we start out as a page. They're showing me that they like me, but it's all kind of not very direct. It's more of like, I'm watching you. I know you're excited to see me when I bump into you, but you don't really directly ask me out, but you flirt a little bit. I think you're super sexy. I think that you think I'm sexy, but would you really have staying power? All along, I think she decided in her head, I doubt that they would. So I didn't want to go down that road. Them texting me or flirting with me at random is not the same as somebody who's making a direct, hi, I'd like to take you out. I'd like to get to know you better. So I think the universe is saying to her, you're in Queen's status now. And queens don't repeat old cycles. Queens are astute. Her only struggle has been like, I don't want to misjudge people. I don't want to be too judgmental. And the universe is like, discerning is not being judgmental. You're waiting to make a decision and contemplating, how did somebody approach me? How would I have approached if I were serious about something? Okay, then they're not my match, because I would actually approach more direct. I'm a Queen of Wands. I would speak as a queen. That's what the universe is saying. You're not being judgy by only expecting what you would expect of yourself. If she's really looking for a match, then she probably has to be able to match with somebody who, I'm not saying they need to be her clone, but they have to approach her the same way she would approach something that she would want, with respect, with, like, I definitely am going to tell you what I'm actually thinking. I'm not going to do bedroom eyes from across a room, nor am I going to stand there and talk about just myself. I want to get to know them. I want to tell them that I'm interested, and now let it begin. So I really think the universe is like, no, 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 you're doing just great. You're doing just fine. You're only expecting what you're putting out. You're only asking for what you would be willing to give. Nine of Wands and the Eight of Cups. The universe is like, this is proof that she's actually been healing and that she's learned how to go ahead and walk away from things that aren't really up to snuff and walk away from things of her past so she doesn't repeat cycles. It's to her credit that she's kind enough to consider her own actions so that she doesn't accidentally slip into becoming like hyper judgmental or fearful. But the universe says, I mean, sure, you've been wounded, but that's what you're walking away from, so you don't make wounded choices. You know, in this storyline, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's just that in this storyline, it says that her motive for the way she's assessing things seems to be coming from a queen's perspective of, I really want to have a good connection with somebody that is really looking for the same things that I'm looking for, which means I have to be discerning. That's not to be rude. It says it will take time, most likely, for her to, she's got to be patient. The queen is patient because the queen's not going to accept things that don't really click, don't really work. A queen is going to say it has to fit into my life, my routine, my empire. It has to complement my world. I can't just have stuff that I allow into my life, but it doesn't really add value. Four of Pentacles, Nine of Cups. And she's going to be having to be patient. She's going to have to do a lot more discernment. And she may not love doing it because it feels judgy. And it says to kind of get over that because she's got to be able to be discerning. This doesn't mean that she doesn't see the value in other people, but it says to kind of keep the gateway of her castle closed and maybe even locked under lock and key unless she meets somebody who really makes her happy and who she makes really happy and someone that she can dream with and co-create with. It really says we don't have to feel rude about waiting to find the person that actually makes us happy. There's nothing more personal than, you know, who we're going to give our lips to and our body to and our mind to and our years of our life to and our money to, and, you know, share the day-to-day, the good, the bad, and the ugly with. Hopefully we're pretty discerning about that, because that's letting somebody into the best of our life, the best of our energy, the best of our world. They should have to follow some kind of code of conduct. And we should be able to say, I want somebody that makes me happy if I'm going to share that much of my life with them, that much of my sacred self with them. It's not even like, you know, we all know that when you go to, like, let's say there's an expectation, you go to church and you dress well. You know, I'm not religious, but anytime I've always gone into any kind of, you know, churches, especially when I travel, I want to participate in the entire culture. I want to, you know, really feel it and experience. And I get something out of every experience like that. And I'm always very respectful because I'm there to learn. I'm there to, you know, see the beauty of it and experience it, whether or not I fully commit to some belief system or not, doesn't matter. I can still enjoy it for what it is and see the beauty and be respectful of it and learn from it. And that's, like, I think that's the best way to approach in this story is what it's saying. All right, I'm going to leave this here. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for giving it a thumbs up. Bye.